Okay, so I am 27 and boy do I have a lot of lessons that I would have loved my 20-year-old self to know. So I thought I'd just come on here and like obviously give a bit of the lowdown to hopefully save someone the time and energy that I wasted in my early 20s. And some of them are obvious, like I'm going to do three main ones, but I sort of, go on a bit of a tangent sometimes. And the first one's probably really obvious. And before I say this, I want to say I have been incredibly blessed over my years where I have been in a lot of experience. I've experienced a lot of tables and different things that I wouldn't have been able to experience on my budget. So shout out to all the boys with money who invite girls onto their tables. But at the same time, if I could go back to my early 20s, I wish I told myself to just be myself rather than thinking too much about like, okay, the person that's buying this table, what vibe are they on? Are we going to be drinking and then out till 4? Is it going to be embarrassing if I get too drunk? Am I allowed to joke about and laugh? Am I allowed to be loud? All of these things, I honestly felt a bit of anxiety when I was going to these situations because I might be a nice club, it might be a nice event, it might be like nice people, but it was just very much not, I wasn't being myself because I actually didn't have a friendship with these people I was going, because my friends been invited, they invited me, and in, let's say 60% of the times you aren't really even socializing when it's those sorts of situations. So now I prioritize like the people over the experience always, because I just find that I have a better time. Like if I'm not being myself, then it's just not worth it for me. Whereas I went through years of thinking, okay, like was I embarrassing last night? And then that's when you wake up with social anxiety because you're not being yourself. So you're just like, oh my god, like what was I doing? Da, da, da. And yeah, I think in everything, like obviously it's amazing to have these experiences that I genuinely could not afford in my budget, especially in my early 20s. Can you imagine me going to like a club and like paying thousands? No way. And like I think that is one of the benefits, that is one of the biggest benefits of being a girl, is club hopping, and I love it. I really enjoy the experience now that I am just myself and I take silliness over everything. But if I'm not allowed to be silly, then I don't want to go. And like that's why it was when I was with my friends and like I noticed some tables that you're invited to, they could invite a friend and then you're like, oh, can this guy come? And it could be like literally like a guy that we know who's just with all of the girls in a night out and they're like, no, sorry. And it's like, why? And then those sorts of people I just cannot be around anymore. Like I can't tolerate, because I'm just like, why would I sacrifice my own morals and values by ditching a friend just to go hang around with people that I don't know and quite frankly do not care about me? So I think that's like a mindset shift I had probably like late 20s. And since then, I honestly enjoy like clubbing and everything so much more because I really just immerse myself in it by actually introducing myself to people, whereas before I'd be like too nervous that I'll be annoying them. And then I also just am myself, so I am silly. I don't really care about like thinking, is this the vibe for them? Because if it isn't, then they can just tell me. Like I don't really, like no one really cares what you're doing when you're clubbing, whereas I think when I was younger I always used to panic and be like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. But if you own what you're doing, it's not like I'm doing anything crazy, by the way. I'm literally just like, I'll just be yapping. But yeah, since I've done that, I've just had so many more like positive experiences, and I've actually been able to make friends with a lot more people that I've gone out with, rather than fearing people that I guess come from a different lifestyle to me. And also, if you do feel uncomfortable on these nights out, don't feel pressured to go because of the sort of event it is or the people that are going or like the status of it. Go to the pub with your friends and be silly. Just get a couple of pints and enjoy yourself. Like that is something that I wish I could go back and tell myself a bit more. But I'm glad I've come to the realisation anyway. There's still a lot more clubbing to be done. I'm only 27. So yeah, all good. And then I've written these down so that I don't go too off tangent. But the second one is protect your roots. So I read something last year that has been honestly transformational. Transformational to me. So it is, you've got your leaves, your roots, your leaves, your branches and your roots. Your leaves are people that they're there for like the fair weather things, but they don't stay too long. Branches, they are there for you. They're a bit more sturdy than the leaves, obviously. They're they're more year round, but also if you rely on them too much, then they could break. And then roots are there through every weather, through thick and thin, basically. So I've like been able to reassess a lot of my relationships, and fortunately I do have lots of roots here, Bali, Dubai, everywhere. And like it really helps you to differentiate the people, because you're like, actually, would I be able to turn to that person if anything was to be troubling me, or can I have honest conversations with that person? Would they leave me if I put too much pressure on them? And I think that's honestly allowed me to like really dedicate time to those that I love, and just be able to put boundaries, I guess, in place for people that they are only there through the fair weather things, and you're like, okay, wait, actually I need to prioritize these people over those people. And I think it's something that prioritizing and setting boundaries is something that I've always struggled with, so anything to help that really helps. And I'm not saying that I don't love all of my branches or my leaves, to be honest, but like it just helps you put boundaries in place when you are struggling for time. And a lot of the time I do pressurize myself to spread myself too thin. So yeah, that's another one, and that's probably only in the last year that I've managed to do that. And it's honestly one of the reasons that I've moved back from Bali, because I just know that I have a lot of roots at home that I want to spend a lot of time with and also be there for. Like a lot of my friends are getting engaged or they're having babies now, and like I want to be able to be around them. And like my family, like my mum and dad are putting the house on the market, so it's been really nice to spend some time here and obviously just help get everything sorted. And I wouldn't feel great if I was a 22-hour flight away, not 22, 17, but you know what I mean, like 22 hours all in all. Okay, and then the last one is I've always struggled, and I think I've spoken about this while I'm doing this like 30-day challenge to myself of resetting my life and posting on YouTube every day. And it is, do not just push yourself to go all in on something, even though that's exactly what I've done with this whole YouTube challenge to myself. But compounding habits is a lot easier. So saying to yourself, okay, I'm gonna have this breakfast, like a high protein breakfast, these 3 days this week. So something I've been trying to do recently is up the protein in my diet, because it just works a lot better for my ADHD. But I really struggle to have breakfast full stop, and I don't get hungrier till later in the day, but you have to eat loads of protein basically as soon as you wake up. So instead of saying like I'm gonna eat loads of protein for 7 days, I've decided to just keep upping it a day every week. So I'm on my 3rd week, and now I'm up to 3 days a week where I have like a high protein overnight oats prepared, and then I just force myself to have it. So hopefully I'll work myself up to 7 days. But yeah, I think compounding habits is a lot easier. And that's the same with, how many Sundays have you had where you've sat down and you're like, my dad is the worst for this, by the way. He sits down every Sunday and he goes, we're having a takeaway probably, and he's like, tomorrow I'm gonna eat healthy, like I'm gonna be going to the gym every day, this is gonna be the week. And he's like, the week? But also he comes downstairs, gym stuff, Monday morning, completely smash out of the park. We're eating like vegetables and chicken for dinner, and then by Wednesday he's like having a massive bowl of curry. And he's not gone to the gym. He's got a packet of Twiglets in his study. And it's all about just making those like little habits. I know that's been a lot about food and like diet and everything, but it's just, instead of thinking I'm going to go all in on something, you need to just set yourself boundaries. And I think what's been absolutely transformational with myself realizing that is working with different mentors. And it sometimes just takes someone to turn around and say to you like, how much of a priority is this, and what do you actually think you're going to be able to get done, and what do you think is going to be achievable? And I've literally had mentors that have turned around to me when I'm like, okay, I'm going to be posting this amount of reels a week, and I'm going to be doing this amount of messages, and they're like, well, how much are you doing at the moment? And like, let's do it where it's almost like a stagnated launch for you to achieve this goal. And I've never really thought about it like that before, but because it's worked with my content and like actually being able to perform in the sense of what my mentors told me to do and build up that process, then that's why I was like, okay, with this breakfast situation, I'm going to be doing that as well. So it's just about compounding habits and actually tracking them. Like I find it really useful to track in a planner, which I never really thought about doing before. So that's a bit of my TED talk about like what I would do if I could go back to my 20s. But honestly, like I've been through it over the last 10 years where I've been doing all of these things, and I just think there comes a point that you do grow up, and I just want to do this more to document for myself. If I ever feel anxiety because I've not been silly enough or I've been too silly on a night out, who cares, for one? And two, I just need to be myself. And then obviously when it comes to habits, I'm just going to keep doing this compounding habits thing because it's really working for me right now, and I don't know why I've not done it before, but it's like having New Year's resolutions. Like, I've personally started my New Year's resolutions now because I'm compounding them. So yeah, that's my TED Talk for today, but I will see you tomorrow. And like, honestly, just keep doing you. That's the biggest piece of advice I have. And be around people that are your roots and their values align with you. That's the bottom line. Bottom line.